Good morning, wrestling fans. Welcome to PWR today for August 11th, 2021. The man they call Meathead and the Matthew Thomas of Matthew Thomas's Matthew Thomas. Good morning, Matthew.
Hey, thank you. Yeah, you really hit the nail on the head. You described me to
I
a
trimmed
T.
it down.
Yeah, no, you did. But you still got the desired effect out of it. So I mean, that's all that really matters.
I mean, if there was anybody more Matthew Thomas than Matthew Thomas, it's Matthew Thomas.
There's a couple people that are pretty doggone close, but no, you're right. I mean, I'm the most Matthew Thomas of all the Matthew Thomases.
That's right. Hey, let's talk about the sponsor real quick before we get into what we got for this morning.
When you talk about the sponsor of PWR, you talk about Collar and Elbow Brand, the maker of wonderful clothing and apparel that you can make yours at collarandelbowbrand.com. Head on over, take that URL, drop it in your browser window, hit enter, go on over there, pick out what you want, enter promo code LindaK at the checkout, and save yourself a big old fancy chunk of 10%. Linda K, LINDAKAY, and save that 10%.
Nice. Let's talk about some news. Now, between the three of us, Linda, yourself, and myself, we have this little text chain that we have, and we just share stuff. Sometimes random news that hits right away, we share it amongst ourselves. You happen to share just a snapshot of what was going on in AEW Dark. You counted 17 matches for AEW Dark. Now, out of those 17 matches, I noticed that the Acclaimed wasn't in any of them, Matthew. And that's because, they suspended me without pay. I can't get laid. Something like that. Max Caster suspended, it looks like, for up to 60 days due to his very inappropriate rap from last week.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. And, I mean, it was not well received. It's just, I'm looking at this and they did have a week to catch it. They're filming from a week previously.
Yeah.
This thing aired and it was out of line. It was inappropriate, but they had a week to catch this thing and take this thing out. And, he is certainly at fault there, but some parties let this thing go to air and it wasn't an issue until it wasn't proactively an issue. It wasn't an issue ahead of time. It was an issue after the fact.
Here's the thing. He probably didn't have his reps, pre-approved. They're probably going to have to be now, right? We're going to need to see what you're saying. It was a mistake. All right. Plain and simple. Dude suspended, not fired. Give him a time to think about it. Maybe some sensitivity training. And, let him learn for his lessons. I don't want to see a guy fired. I don't want to see a guy lose his job over it. But It was inappropriate. It had to be pulled after. Tony Khan had to go on Busted Open Radio and apologize for it and say how he's not going to let it happen again. I understand, and I'm okay with the process. Let's move on, right?
No, absolutely. And, hopefully we'll see him back in 60 days.
Okay, WWE news real quick. I want to talk about the next Stone Cold podcast from the Broken Skulls Ranch. It is going to be your dear, close, personal friend from the Colorado area, Bobby Lashley.
Yes, indeed. A fellow Coloradoan.
Is that what you guys call yourself?
I think it's how you say it, Colorado.
Well, you haven't been there for more than 10 years, right? So you might not be sure.
Well, I'm like half a Coloradoan.
Are you a Denvertonian?
I'm a if I'm half a Coloradoan, that means I'm an right? I'm the latter half of it, I think. Yeah. You know what? I'm looking forward to this because as much as I enjoy all the Broken Skull sessions, you look at something like a Foley or you look at something like, even that great Kevin Nash episode, we've got a lot of long form interviews with these guys on record.
Yeah.
Bobby Lashley, there's not much, man. I mean, I've never seen an extensive, sit down with Bobby Lashley.
We know Nash's story.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to this.
So we're going to find out a lot about, Bobby in the service because Bobby, I think he was Army, if I'm not mistaken.
Army, I believe. And, one thing I have heard about Lashley that's very, very interesting, I believe.
Because he was the Armed Forces heavyweight champion, I think, is what the story was.
And Bobby Lashley, and it was just when he came out of high school or maybe out of college, but he was actually injured in a bank robbery. not committing a bank robbery, but like as somebody that was involved in a bank robbery in the bank when they, came in and tried to rob the bank.
Wow, I wonder if that comes up. So
It's
again, looking forward to it.
It's
It
got
is.
to. Yeah.
You know how WWE does move things around. It is slated to air apparently this Sunday on the Peacock. So we'll have to find out. Ahead
Absolutely.
of
I will. I'm gonna mark my. I'm gonna set my VCR for that one.
your VCR, is it a Betamax?
No, I'm high tech, man. I got a VHS.
Let's stay WWE company. Let's talk about NXT. We're going to get to NXT results in just a little bit here, but NXT, holy smokes, man. With the 13 releases that they had last week off of the NXT brand, it can be understood that maybe there's high tensions. This is their first live show in a couple of weeks because the last 2 weeks were taped for the Sci-Fi Network during the Olympics.
Yeah.
It's got to be a tough working situation to work around, an area where they just cut half the talent. They have a pay-per-view coming up next week, Sunday, at TakeOver, right after SummerSlam. And a lot of people don't know if their jobs are going to be there because there's said to be major shakeups happening on NXT.
Yeah. And, there's been actually a decent amount of very well-written articles that have sprung up over the last several days, in regards to the whole situation. And, I would like to credit whoever wrote this, but I can't quite recall where I read it. But the author made a very good point in the fact that, I think a lot of kind of what has hurt this NXT main roster relationship and kind of what has hurt the process over the last decade is the fact that as great as NXT has been, it's been at times the best wrestling going in the industry, there has still been that big discrepancy between NXT and the main roster. So you have a lot of situations where NXT is its own thing, and it is, in a lot of ways, its separate brand stylistically. You get a lot of these people up to the main roster. It doesn't translate because when they get to that main roster, they're basically having to
run down a myriad of names that just didn't transfer. How about the Ascension? How about the Vaudevillians? How about when Johnny Gargano went up there, it didn't work, and for Tommaso Ciampa, it didn't work.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, man, I think up until recently, you could make the case that it didn't work for Bayley. I don't think you can say that now, but it was a tough road to hoe right there. Once she got up to the main roster, and I think it is what it seems like it has been its own thing, and it has been great wrestling. But in a lot of cases, honestly, it doesn't seem as it served to groom these people for WWE main roster.
You're using Bayley as a most recent. I'll go as recent as Monday night. I don't think it's working for Karrion Kross on Raw.
Karrion Kross, another prime example, I think, is Ricochet.
Yeah. I mean, look at, remember we had Heavy Machinery. What is Otis doing? I mean, Tucker's gone. Otis is doing okay in the Alpha Academy, but that didn't work out either.
100%. And I was going through last night and actually looking at, because the way that Peacock has stuff structured, I mean, you've got and that's not chronologically by year, it is your pay-per-view. So you've got your NXT TakeOver starting with, TakeOver 1. And, I had forgotten, but you've got an NXT champion in Bo Dallas down there. I mean, that is an NXT champion that did not translate to the main roster.
Adam Rose didn't translate either. No way Jose didn't translate.
NXT, champion Neville, he's translated away from WWE.
He translated right into AEW in a Death Triangle.
Yeah.
Oh, that could be an entire show right there. All right. Let's talk about NXT from last night as we talk about what's going on in the mood. The opening match was Dakota Kai versus Saray. Ember Rose was not medically, Ember Moon, excuse me, not Ember Rose. I was thinking Mandy Rose. Ember Moon has not been medically cleared to compete, so it ended up being Dakota Kai taking on Saray and Dakota Kai getting the win. Raquel Gonzalez comes in and lets everyone know who's going to be winning that match at TakeOver for the NXT Women's Championship.
This was a great match to open the show. The best women's match that I've seen in quite a while.
And allegedly put together at the last second.
across any brand. Yeah, I mean, Dakota Kai picking up the win here, to keep her ready for her title match. I wouldn't have mind seeing it go the other way. I think, if we were going to have Raquel Gonzalez out there, you could have actually had Dakota Kai take the loss here and been okay. But no, this was a great match to start the show.
The promo in the back of a truck for Hit Row, Top Dollar said a line that I've been saying for years, and I thought that when I was saying this, I was aging myself because nobody got the reference. I used to tell people that, dude, if I have to hit you, I'm going to punch you so hard, you're going to swallow your teeth like chiclets. I didn't know that was still a thing. Dude, Top Dollar referenced chiclets in his rap.
Maybe they heard you say it on a show or something and just took it from you.
I don't know about that, but again, a very gritty promo from Hit Row.
No, and this was really solid. We didn't get them in ring last night. We got this, and again, this is what AEW does a great job of, and I'm glad to see NXT. These kind of quick vignettes or backstage promos just to keep the people that are not on the show to keep them fresh in your mind.
It's kind of like what AEW is doing, and Raw and SmackDown just don't do.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
$1 Million champion LA Knight defeats Andre Case. And you and I have talked about this for a while. This promo, this little feud has taken Cameron Grimes out of the To the Moon, Kiss My Grits Cameron Grimes, which we love and miss. However, we may be getting it back next week Sunday on TakeOver. The $1 Million Man proposes a match between Grimes and Knight. If Grimes wins, he gets the $1 Million championship. If LA Knight wins, it's not Grimes as his butler anymore. Ted DiBiase will be his butler.
Yeah, as much as I don't want to lose the points, man, you probably need to go ahead and put that belt on Grimes to get him back in full effect.
And let me guess, so are they going to take Cameron Grimes to the moon?
I hope so, because I enjoyed the angle like the first week of it, but since last week,
it's gotten flat.
It's gotten flat, and he's dropped. Of course, he's going to lose some.
He doesn't talk about Cameron Grimes.
Yeah, he's going to lose some enthusiasm, but he's dropped his dialect.
Right.
Like he's completely dropped that tonality. And what makes it worse? What doesn't help that is, with the way he's presented as a butler. He looks much more clean cut than you associate Cameron Grimes.
Like the wild hair Cameron Grimes.
Yeah,
with the leather vest and all just the fur hanging out.
Exactly, and so
the Trevor Lee of Cameron Grimes.
Yeah, and so you've got clean cut Cameron Grimes, and you've got him dropping the dialect. It's not working for me.
No, the last time it was funny was at the golf course where he was washing his balls. So that's it.
That's what you do. They've got machines there at the golf course for that.
I wouldn't put my balls in there. All right. Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole face off, but first I need to talk about the 3-tiered segment of Indy Hartwell and Dexter Lumis out on a date. Let's talk about it all now.
What we lost, and I'm going to put this out there, what we lost with the Grimes LA Knight angle, I do think we got back with this last night. I thoroughly enjoyed all of this.
Okay, so we're not going to go talk about it in segments. We're going to talk about it all right now. Cameron Grimes, Dexter Lumis even chews like a psychopath. I enjoy Johnny and Candace buzzing around like dorks on walkie-talkies and fake mustaches. And Dexter Lumis even taking the cake to the face is still creepy.
Dexter Lumis did not utter a word throughout the course of any of the 3 vignettes last night.
Right. Like I said, dude, the most talking we got out of him was him chewing.
Let me ask you this. Has he spoken in NXT?
I don't recall, to be honest with you. And we're talking a couple years. I don't recall.
This guy is just like, man, he does this gimmick so well.
He does. All right, let's talk Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole. There's a lot of heat with this, but with us knowing what's going on with Adam Cole, does it take a little bit of the shine off of Cole O'Reilly 3?
Not especially, because it's if If Cole loses and it's a swan song up to the main roster, I think that's good for business. It gives O'Reilly something. I feel like O'Reilly.
Well, there is no undisputed era anymore. They let the fish free.
Yeah, and nothing in ring. I mean, but since Undisputed Era has been done, I feel like they've really been having a hard time establishing Kyle O'Reilly as a singles competitor. Just as far as the persona, I mean, they're in and out with this cool Kyle thing.
Yeah.
I'm having a hard time really understanding who Kyle O'Reilly is supposed to be outside of Undisputed Era. And, we're going back to him and Cole, so we're still revolving it around that former stable. I think it's going to be an outstanding match. We've got the various stipulations there. And, imagine if, in fact, it goes to a third fall. Come on, when was the last time that didn't happen?
Yeah. Semifinals of the breakout tournament. Your man, Odyssey Jones and Trey Baxter. Odyssey Jones. And this, you know what? I hate to be this guy, but once they released Bronson Reed, I think Odyssey Jones is the winner.
No, I still like my man Duke. I think Duke is the winner.
Really? No, it's Odyssey Jones now. They've got the big guy now because they got rid of Bronson.
Yeah, but you need a really heelish Australian. That's exactly what you need.
NXT is half Australian. I don't know if you've been paying attention.
They
just got rid of Bronson Reed, so they're going to go a little more Australian.
It's a good point there.
All right, and then finally, let's talk about the main event. Dragunov against Dunn. I believe, and I'm really not interested in looking up the history, but didn't Walter beat Pete Dunne for the UK Championship like 2 years ago?
I think you're right. I mean,
the fact that he interferes in the match and costs Dragunov the victory and Pete Dunne gets the win, I thought there would be something there. But Walter goes after Dragunov ahead of TakeOver. Dragunov gets an upper hand at the end. Your thoughts on NXT overall?
I thought it was great. This was another great match at the end of the show. Like, you really had two excellent matches to bookend the entire show. And I am looking forward to their match at TakeOver, which it's going to be such a unique setup this SummerSlam weekend because we're having SummerSlam on Saturday, and the stadium in Vegas, and then we are at TakeOver back at the Capitol Wrestling Center, foreseeably on that Sunday.
That seems like a letdown, don't it?
It's going to be a really well. And what's interesting too, with what the main roster is doing, main roster is running a house show back here in Denver on Sunday after SummerSlam on Saturday. It is a very unique schedule for WWE.
So you're going to be flying back with Bobby after his match, and then you'll go to the house show.
No, we'll see. Bobby's going to leave early before SummerSlam's over with because he's going to have if he's not the first match, close to the first match, he's going to hop on a flight and be able to get back and sleep in his own bed and then, go to the house show on Sunday.
Fair enough. Let's talk Dynamite tonight real quick. We're only a couple days away from Rampage. So, coming up Friday morning, we're going to have a Rampage preview on all the good stuff coming with Friday night AEW. First off, these are the three matches we're going to talk about coming up tonight. Labor 4 of the 5 labors of Jericho, right? Chris Jericho gets Wardlow with MJF. Again, unconfirmed, confusing. Yeah. Either he's a guest ring announcer or he's a guest referee or he's going to be at ringside. Who knows? But MJF will be there. It has got to be 100% the lock in Vegas for Jericho to win this match to get to MJF.
Oh, 100%. And it's interesting the way that these labors have been, dispersed. I mean, I think with it being what it was, everything feels, I don't want to say anticlimactic, but different after the whole Nick Gage thing, because how are you gonna, I don't want to say top that necessarily, which has a really, really positive form connotation to it. But, how are you going to make a labor more extensive?
Yep. Again, I feel the Nick Gage one shouldn't have been matched too, but that's just me.
Yeah.
Nick Gage at 4 would have been made more sense. You could have put Wardlow at 3 and then Gage at 4.
And the thing of it is too, like even last week, that was so different. I mean, Wardlow working with somebody in your stable feels very, very predictable.
Yeah. Well, I mean, It is what it is. Wardlow's always been there. He's been the muscle for MJF. Nyla Rose with Vicky Guerrero going to take on Chris Statlander with Orange Cassidy. Side question for you. If they added John Cena to Randy Orton and Matt Riddle, is that the WWE's version of Good or Best Friends?
I think that's a really good analogy.
I mean, will they just hug it out every show and give the people what they want?
I think so. I mean, that's what everybody wants to see right now.
You know, it's kind of funny. We got to reference Dave Hero here, the Dave the Zohan Hero. After Randy hits the RKO on Matt Riddle on Monday night, Dave went and tweeted out, he goes, Randy kept telling him the stove is hot, don't touch the stove. The stove is hot, don't touch the stove. The stove is hot, don't he touch the stove.
Randy.
Point on. I thought it was point on.
Randy.
Here's another thing that's going to happen. For the first time ever, the Impact Tag Team Championships are on the line. Buenos Hermanos, the Good Brothers, will defend their Impact Wrestling Championships against Evil Uno and Stu, don't call me Dick, Grayson.
Yeah, I mean, that would be a nice little thread if, the Impact titles were taken off by a AEW roster member, but probably not going that direction.
Probably not, but it would be interesting. You're absolutely right. Okay, that is what we've got so far. Again, tomorrow we'll talk about Dynamite and what happened there. We'll get you going towards we'll get you going towards Friday with SmackDown and AEW. They are not head-to-head. SmackDown is 8 Eastern, 7 Central for 2 hours, and then Rampage, 10 Eastern, 9 Central for 1 hour. Folks, it is possible that for the big pop, they maybe say that he's coming, Daniel Bryan or CM Punk, but there's a chance we could get something huge. Make sure we're tuning into Rampage on Friday nights.
We're basically, if you stop to think about it, we're kind of like in the TGIF era of professional wrestling now.
Thank God it's Friday.
Yeah.
I remember when ECW was on TNN Friday nights, 8 Eastern, 7 Central, way back in the day.
Yeah.
On Spike TV, or was it the TNN, the new TNN?
Man, I think it was still TNN back in the day, because that was kind of
what it was called.
That was kind of what Paul Heyman and a lot of the ECW originals basically accused TNN of doing, that kind of dry run with wrestling.
Not basically. We cut an interview with Joey Styles on the Pro Wrestling Report.
Yeah.
And that is legitimately what he said. He goes, look, we're pissed. WWE and TNN used us to see if they could do wrestling, and then went ahead and got Raw and kicked us off.
Yeah.
That happened on the Pro Wrestling Report. So not basically, it happened.
Yes, I know. We've definitely had our share of Friday night wrestling before.
There you go. For Matthew Thomas on the Manly Call Meathead, hey, thanks for stopping by. We'll talk tomorrow morning. So long, everyone.